Okay, and we are live. Morning on the day we all spring ahead. So, in a hectic couple of weeks, couldn't get on last Sunday, had some things going on. But got back to where everything's normalized on a regular time schedule and that, so we can get our 10 o'clock in. So only got one watcher. Strange. Of course, we only been up for a while. Yeah, I had a lot going on. Went to that auction the other weekend. Uh, kind of got tied up with a lot of stuff, and it's quite interesting. Actually, got in contact with somebody who was at the auction with me. Wanted me to look at a few of the items that or one of the items he got there. He had a couple other items that he picked up elsewhere, um, and check them out. That auction was really, really strange. There were a lot of long arms there, the KR98, the '03 Springfield, and for a couple Carcanos. One was Finnish M38 short rifle and a 3 point or 7.35 or whatever, and a cavalry carbine. Both of them, I'd say, were in good condition. The stocks were dirty, kind of beat up on them. Nothing super nice. Um, so it kind of led me to believe that even if this guy was a collector, either the better parts of his collection were sold off before he passed away, or he really collected a lot of crap. Okay, I mean, the way I was looking at it, there was a British Webley revolver, the big one. But like I said, when I went to operate it, the latch wasn't working right. The finish was mostly gone. It was clean in that, but well, they couldn't take credit cards, so I couldn't even get to that point bidding on that piece. I walked away with the one piece and the sword, come out okay, you know, with that Argentine cavalry carbine, and let the other people buy up all that other fun stuff. But the auction wasn't quite run well either. Okay. And a couple people have asked, and a few people have thrown a comment up on a live. When do you get to the point of selling your collection? Okay. Now, I've collected guns all my life. I collected military at a time. After I was out of the service, when I was single, I had a I had a house. I had a house paid for. Of course, it was in the inner city, which within 5 or 6 years, living there, it didn't matter whether it was paid or not. Okay, I had to move. And right now, uh, where that house is, back in the old city I lived in, there's a mobile police station less than 100 yards away. Uh, you know, that's how bad it's gotten by the square where there used to be a McDonald's or used to be a Burger King. They took it out. So yeah, things in life happen. I had a collection of Nazi daggers, helmets, medals, uh, all kinds of things. I mean, quite extensive. And when I had to move or I had to make some serious improvements in my home, you know, the collection went. All right, when you got to start choking up 20,000 and stuff like that. And that's going back 40 years ago. That was an awful lot of money. Okay. You didn't just, you know, well, what I had laying around was the collections. I did build up a collection. Yeah, well, they had one there at that auction. I don't know what the hell it went for. At first, I didn't quite realize what it was until well, that's Uruguayan. This was Argentinian bayonet. So, yeah, I mean, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. And when I had to move, I lost my job and I was out of work for 9 months or something. And then this nonsense, things got bad. And then I was out for good and working at, you know, like 45% or less than what the hell I was making, and had to move. I had to pay off a bunch of debt, clear up everything, and get out of one state and move a great distance away. So yeah, my gun collection got whittled down to nothing. And once I got here, um, actually trying to finance and get this house bought before I could sell the other house, which took over a year and a half to sell my other property out of state. Uh, was a financial drain, and my collection was just about nil. There was very few. I went from a pretty valuable collection down to 10 guns. I mean, it was tough. Then got established, built it back up, and now, so yes, there are different reasons to liquidate your collection, okay, and at different points in your life, okay. Um, that's what, a lot of people have asked. Myself, I had to liquidate collections and stuff when I was quite young, just because certain things changed in my life. And now that I'm towards the end, now you're wondering, okay, you've got some stability over the years, you've built a collection. Well, what if you have no one to leave it to? Okay, now that's another thing. Beretta 95. There we go. All right, that's a nice one. 7194. Yeah, they're hard to find. You don't find them. I don't, bayonets are not my thing. I don't keep a track of them in my head. And yes, they get pretty expensive. Good morning. So yeah, you get the question what to do. All right. And a lot of people do find themselves. I've seen a lot of guys that had massive collections. Okay, there was one fella. I don't know if he had ex-wives or nothing. He was quite old too. He was up there in his 80s, and I have no idea of his family life or nothing. I knew him from gun shows and from collecting his personal life and that. But I believe he told me he was living with some woman or something and just bought a house or some shit. And when he passed, I guess the family had to liquidate this. And I mean, he had some, I don't know where he got his money from or whatever, but when something come up, he knew what was rare. And I mean, he had things that you can't even find in books. Okay. And he had cash. All right. So he had some very, very unusual things in there. And I don't know what happened. So they started selling it on the gun broker. Then the next thing I know, there's some auctions stopped, and somebody came in there that was bankrolled and ready. And see, what happens is the family don't want to go through this crap of selling 300 or 400 firearms. Okay, one by one. It's a nightmare. It's a full-time job. It's going to take forever. Okay, and they don't even know what half the stuff is. So what happens is somebody that knows, somebody that can bankroll it, they will come in and they'll just bring the money, take it all at once. Which, you look at it, you spend a lifetime doing this. Morning. Yeah, what to do with the items? Yes, it is. It is a bad idea. Yes, that's probably uh, the best thing to do because I'm going to have to end up doing that where I leave the lawyers in charge of my estate, uh, or to advise my wife on something of that nature. And reputable. I've heard stories like I've used one place on the gun broker, and they take the gun, start it off at a penny, and whatever the hammer falls, they take 20% and you get a check. Okay, which you kind of like to get that extra 20, especially with things that are extremely rare or valuable. I'm talking about one piece is worth a few thousand or more. Okay, an auction, and depending on how odd it is, certain auction houses, like if they were Dreiser needle fire guns, I know two or three auction houses is that will be the place to put it in because that's where I've seen these items quite frequently and bidded on them. Um, and I know that they'll go condition wise and that they'll go for a price. But what I've never set up anything with said auction house, so I don't know what they would charge or whatever, how you'd make out. Well, if I'm deceased, it really don't matter. It just gets turned into cash for an easy way for my wife or whatever uh, to collect on it. But yeah, it's people have asked, and first thing is kind of knowing what the current price is. Now I can hold up any gun, any Mauser from Brazil, Uruguay, Spanish Mauser, whatever, and everyone's going to tell me a different thing. It's kind of like that Argentine cavalry carbine, you know, ballpark figure 3 to 4. Okay, I figured I would not put more into it. You can see something like that in an auction and people getting a little battle in the auction and it may go higher. Or maybe nobody in that auction wants it, it may go lower. And just like this auction, $300 is probably a fair. Somebody must have appraised these weapons because they started at 3. Nobody bid. They said 200. Nobody bid. 100, which you're lucky to get a sporterized gun for $100 at an auction, okay, with these lunatics in there. And once they said 100, 7 people, yeah, I'll do 100. And like I said, how I just said, all right. And the auctioneer, the lady running it that owned the company, just standing there looking over the crowd, dumbfounded. When she said 100, 6 people raised their hands. She didn't know what to do. And I just held my auction number up and yelled out $200. I figured somebody would want it bad enough to kick in at least another 10 or something, but she called it. Nobody went over to 2. I got it for $200. Okay. Which probably out of all the long guns, that was the nicest military long gun in there. There's some AR-15s and stuff like that, but I didn't even fool with them. I mean, and there was some sort of a M1 carbine with a folding stock and a scope, and I don't know if it was a universal or what. There were some military ones, but they were the old blue skies that came out in the 80s. Yeah, that's what you have to do. Like you're saying, is what it is. You should just go and do the research and get a realistic market value, okay, of what the current market value is. And that fluctuates and gets crazy. Never in my life would I thought that a KAR 98 that I had, like a Mauser or something, BYF 44 mint never, they used to sell them in the 50s. That's where this gun came from. Some guy wanted to sell this stuff. He probably paid $45 for it. He got 180 bucks. He thought he made out. Okay. Then I ended up selling the damn thing for, I think, $300. All right. So this is how it comes about. And that was top dollar then. It was hard to get somebody to pony up 300 bucks for it, but it was a completely matching mint condition, which they were hard to find. Okay. Now this thing is, 1800 or something. Yeah. But then again, this is another thing. You need to sell it. Finding somebody, this is the key, finding someone to pay you that, okay, is it. All right, that's one way to go. 1886 for $2,000. Was it like in mint condition? Okay. I think that one I paid five and a half for it, and it was rusted. The bore was good, but the outside, it was left somewhere, probably never used, and the outside got all corroded to shit. I do shoot it from time to time. But yeah, it's like there was somebody that when Royal Tiger had the Russian Berdan rifles, okay, one guy said that, and truthfully, I bought a nice Berdan at an auction, ended up paying 11 or 12, and how they survived is they went to Finland and they stayed there when the Russians destroyed all of their own. So any example of a Berdan, okay, that you find was something that was outside of Russia itself during the communist take, when the communists came to power. Those are the only examples that survived, and they're very few. That's why they came out of Ethiopia. In this batch, there was a batch that came from Finland back in the 50s. And every now and again, one will pop up in an auction. And I found one. And the gun is in excellent plus condition. Okay. But yes, it was well over $1,000. Okay. And this one guy said, well, I've seen these Berdans, they're only 500 bucks. And I know they go for over 1,000. So I had to buy one immediately. And again, this is what I call bottom feeding. You're buying these guns, taking a chance. Okay, I bought one that was sawed off, okay, for 500, and it was shootable. I have to repair the bore, and I did make some ammo for it. It's another project that God knows when that'll come around again. But I have to redo where they just hacksawed off the barrel before I tried to shoot it. And this other individual got one kind of okay, again, cut down. And then I know a local collector that I talked to him. He said, I bought one and they gave me a actual carbine. He bought supposedly a cut. This shows you how even Royal Tiger, they're morons. I said, are you sure? He goes, I'm going to bring it. So I met him. We talked about the one thing we were going to deal with, and we did. And he pulls us out. It was a Berdan carbine that he got for the 550 or whatever the hell they were selling them. It had the little push button thing in there. It was an actual carbine. Okay, he bought, like me, supposedly a cut down gun. So again, you really shouldn't say I rolled the dice and I made out or I didn't make out. And then when they do have something extremely rare that's in dog crap condition, busted, parts missing, frozen, okay, they want $3,000 for it. Granted, it's a rare gun, uh, you know, but uh, what's really good, It's like museum quality, stock, finish, everything, markings. Uh, Something like that would be difficult to find. And matter of fact, I've never run across one, or maybe I have, uh, but it went for quite a bit of money. $400 for 71.94. Yeah, airsocket trainers were common, and I don't really know if you can shoot them. Polish V, yes, 25K. Ah, I had one that was parted up, and I sold that for, and the gun was not really in good shape or nothing. It wasn't Polish marked. It was kind of generic. Uh, but yeah, I've seen them go 7, 8 thou, but unless it's something super, super special, 25,000. I don't know. Oh, all right, then make a video and we'll take a look at it. But kind of depends. Like I said, most of them were converted. The only ones you find will have that little symbol that went to somewhere in South America. I have one that's still in the original condition, but doesn't have the export symbol on there. Okay. And I have no idea. Either that was left there by mistake, there's always a few stragglers when they convert them, or that weapon was smuggled during the Boer War to South Africa or something. Okay. Uh, they because they were used down there. Austrian weapons did get smuggled in along with a lot of other different guns. Went down. But yeah, I'll wait for the video. Send me an email or whatever. Or I'm subscribed to you. I'll find it. But for that amount of money, better be like mint. The gun broker, if you know what you're doing, okay. And like I said, again, it's who's bidding on it. I was at an auction where they had two of the same rifles. Okay, one was up high in a little bit better condition. One really wasn't much different and lower. Okay, so somebody was bidding against me, kind of went to one level here, which, was acceptable. It wasn't insane, but it wasn't a free ride. I went, put the bids in, and sure enough, towards the very end of the auction, same thing. I got that for like $150 less. Okay, I figured, somebody would struggle and I'd push it up over what I paid for the last one. But actually, I got it for a lot less. Okay, it's just there's no rhyme or reason, because unless you're in the auction floor, okay, you don't know who's there. You don't know what's going on. Like this auction I went to, anything that was worth anything, and I mean everything that was 1K and up, this one individual bid on it. These ARs, he bid on. Some other thing he bid on. He was not screwing around. All the really expensive, nice guns, okay, which there were only a few. Okay, the ARs came in cases and stuff. They may have not been for this guy's collection. I don't know. Okay, that carbine, they had the nicer stuff over in one area than all the military stuff. And what they did to them pistols was horrific. picking them up and that. And then that Luger I talked about that fell apart, my buddy ended up buying it. And it was a piece of junk. I picked it up, said that, had the black ordnance paint on it. Every single part had a different number, and even the grips. He goes, why is the grip kind of got checkering on one side and almost smooth on the other? I said, because it's an old dirty wooden grip. There's more wear on the one panel than there is on the other panel. This thing was made up of parts. And then when I took it apart, it's missing a few springs in that hold the locking thing in. I took it all apart and looked at it and looked down. There was hardly no rifling in the barrel. It was a World War I date, 18 or 1916 maybe or something on a barrel and frame, but the frame was different from the upper and the barrel and every single part in there. And he told me he paid almost $1,000 for it. And I'm like, what in God's name? Oh, or maybe it was a little less than $1,000. I don't know. But it's a pile of junk. No, I had several problems with the house. I had to go and hire a contractor to come and fix something. I have to get another guy that's a friend of mine to check some small maintenance damage on the upper levels of the house. How I formed it, I have to try to remember. Okay, but you can use the 8x56 brass. Okay, trim it, anneal it, and I think I ran it up 8x50 sizing die to get the initial form. Okay, and then run it up to 6.5s to get it. Do you have the 6.5 by 53 millimeter dies? Because that's what I use for the final form. Okay, you're not going to take that brass and do something to it to fire form it if you're trying to do it that way. You know, that's why I tell people, you want me to do this, I got, $1,000 worth of dies here to do this. There is no take a hacksaw and, shove it up this and do this crap and then blow it out or something. No, but you can do it from that. I've got the one pistol. I've tried it out. I really don't know. See, this is a thing. That cartridge was designed for military use in a submachine gun type weapon. And like I'm trying to explain to people the criteria of what formed the cartridge. There's a couple points to the criteria. It had to have a 50 round minimum magazine was the new criteria. And it had to punch through soft body armor, them flat vest we used to wear in the 80s. It was just a thick Kevlar vest, had a collar come up around your neck. They needed something that would go through that shit. Okay. And that cartridge come about because of the size for the 50 round mag and the fact that it had to travel at a velocity to punch through that Kevlar, which was standard issue to most infantry units, So to say it replaced the 9mm, yeah, it replaced the 9mm in the fact that the 9mm in a similar weapon or a handgun probably would not penetrate the Kevlar and did not have an effective range of 100 meters. Okay. So to say that's better than a 9mm for just a practical person like me, okay, 9mm ammo is cheaper. You have more variations of guns, okay, in 9mm in sizes. You have full size guns, mid-range, super subcompact, 9 millimeters, 9 millimeter Derringers. Okay, uh, I don't see it, and it's almost twice as expensive. Not quite. It's a little bit less. I'd say 40% more. And reloading it is nightmarish, and not no one does it because there's some kind of lacquer coating on the brass that if this wears off or you tumble clean it and take it off, it'll stick in the chamber, I guess. I'm not quite sure. I haven't done enough research on it. But as far as I'm concerned, I just did a video discussing this. I haven't uploaded it yet. But I don't see it. I don't know why it's a fad. The only thing I can say positively about the firearm is one, the recoil. And if 17 or 18 rounds ain't enough for you, most of them have 20. I think a few of them have 23 round magazines. Uh, the one that PSA sells, I think that mag holds 23 rounds. So if magazine capacity is an issue or something that's important to you, that's about the only advantages I see. And, you know, like I said, I haven't shot anything, a living thing, an animal or a bird, so I have no idea terminal ballistics or if it's any better than a 9 millimeter, you know, like they say it is. Yeah, I know. I get in the same, I get in the same position that you do. Okay. First of all, those are very difficult to come by. You don't find them in any condition that often because there's not many of them around. And actually, that's what I kind of did with them FR8s. Is I kept going to what I thought because your premiums on these auctions, and I went to two or three different ones. One of them blatantly tells you it's 21% or 22%. Okay, and then you pay shipping $60 and sales tax. And I didn't know it's sales tax you on the commission too. Okay, that's what kind of threw me off. You know, then a 600 some odd dollar bid ends up being almost $900 when it's all said and done. Okay, it was like an extra 200. And I found a place. They said that the commission was 15%. Okay, so I said, oh, all right, I like this. Let me get the paperwork right over there. And I think I brought this up. Okay, that's the one. They charge you, yeah, a processing fee. Now it shows the hammer, it shows the premium, 15%. So I said, hey man, that's great. Internet premium, boom, boom, boom. Then I got charged a processing fee of $53.85. Okay, so I don't know what the hell that is. So that just about negated the lower premium. Okay, and I don't know if this is a flat fee or whatever. Okay, because I got two items as one fee. Um, so it all come out to about the damn same, no matter what their agreement or their thing is. And unfortunately, like you said, you want it. You know, you're probably close to my age. You're gonna wait another 9, 10 years for something to pop up that's reasonable. So you go for it, and I don't blame you. But I'd like to see it. But yeah, and see that again. I've always found it's like with the 88, the 1888. It was languishing around the 450 mark. And then when it come to the end, yeah, you're older than me. I've seen that one. When it come to the end, I said, okay, I'm going to go. And then started knocking it up to 5. And then there was somebody there that just kept doing this one increment within it. And I said, that's it. So I went and put 50 more. And then he bid up, then he realized what I was doing. So he jumped one over, and then I went and did another. I just put another 100 up there. And then he kind of got the message and he stopped. And yeah, I probably paid more than what hell I should have for actually the condition it was in. If the stock was nice and it had serial numbers, like I said, the gun's a little fishy. No serial numbers on the barrel or nothing, and that. So it was probably a barrel that, or it could have been re-arsenaled at the end of the war. Could have had a replacement barrel and somebody re-blued it at one time, but it's a good re-blue, so it could have been done in some sort of a arsenal. A lot of them guns, like when you find the Italian Carcanos that just have a serial number on them, okay? There's no communist date, there's no stampings or nothing, okay? There'll just be a serial number. That was stuff that post-war was assembled, turned into firearms that are functional and were being sold because all these countries were broke. So they take this spare crap, put it together after everything got ironed out, and then they would sell this on an international market as an actual product. Okay, so when you find these post-war guns that were just assembled, okay, like when they did the 8 millimeters, that was all something for the Middle East. Okay, they took whatever leftover stuff they had and were producing this just to get money coming back into the country. You'll find these strange things. It's like somebody had a 7184 that was shortened and he's like going crazy and wow. This was, it was done professionally. It was not done by an importer where they sawed it off and kind of really didn't rebloom or nothing. The guns were shortened. They were shortened. They were reworked, refinished, and everything else. And he said, I can't find it in any standard catalog of German weapons. Okay. And then it took me a while to remember they went to Taiwan or Siam or somewhere in Asia. They wanted these guns, but the guns were taller than the soldiers, so they had to saw them down a little to make them handier for the smaller statured troops. This was done probably in the 1880s or the turn of the century, okay, and it was done professionally in an arsenal, and these guns were refitted and shortened. I got a Verndl that was and there's a weird thing on a guy on the internet. He doesn't show a picture of it, but he says Verndl carbine, he calls it. And you can see where somebody took this and the arsenal redid it. It wasn't a hack job or whatever. They actually shortened it and put this long sheet metal blade sight, which broke off, onto this rifle. They shortened up the Verndls and probably sold them in a contract. The government probably sold them to somebody as a contract to get rid of these obsolete weapons. Yeah, no, you didn't pay tax. Okay, about 5, 6 years ago, you did not pay sales tax on, if you were out of state. They tell you if you're a state resident, you're paying sales tax. If you're out of state, you're not. And you didn't. And that does put a damper. Yeah. So, like I said, if you wanted it, 2Gs, yeah, but make a video about it. I like to see it. Yeah, I mean, it can be. See, if somebody set up, see, I don't have 3 accounts on Gunbroker, okay, and they do track, I guess, where my port is in my modem or whatever to get out onto the internet. I have an IP address, I guess, for where I am. That's one way they can tell you, unless they turn a blind eye to it. But yes, you see a lot of shield bidders, okay, because it's the same auction company. And like I said, you can get away with it once, okay, and or you got a group of sellers working as a team, okay. That's one way of doing it. You got 4 or 5 different guys working together. Because I've seen it where they go up and then the auction closes and then they'll put it up again, and now it ain't starting at a penny, it's starting there, and they just say, hey, um, you can just say non-paying bidder, all right, and that's all you got to do. Gunbroker's pretty easy. They charge me fees, and I just say, hey, the person never uh, called or responded, and I don't even have to prove that I did. If I say the person refuses to pay or doesn't respond, I can click a button, cancel the auction. Now, how I get my fees back, because I had to do this. I mean, I had people bid on something and just never heard nothing from them again. The stipulation is I can force the auction closed. Okay. If I want and if I put a complaint in that I wasn't paid, and if I want the fees back, sales tax and all that other stuff, I have to relist that item for the same duration I originally had it in, whether it be 2 weeks, a week, or 5 days. I would have to relist that item from that item number, relist it, and put it up again and let it run the full course of however long, because you do have variations anywhere from 4 to 24 days, or indefinite or whatever. Same thing. Say it was 2 weeks, so 14 days. Relist it for 14 days. Once I relist it in that, I get the fees back. No questions asked. They may cancel that person, because I notice people who did this, when I go back to leave a negative feedback, it's always they're no longer a registered user. And they didn't have really, and most of the people that did it had single digit or 1 or 2 feedbacks. That's why a lot of people you would see where they uh, say don't do it. But yeah, shilling, I know that shilling goes on. But then again, some of these older guns like he bought, no. See, I've been on Gunbroker long enough. I know if I see a certain name, who the hell's outbidding or bidding against me. Okay. And generally, when you get one of these older weapons, you don't see that much. If nobody bids it up and it's low, there's 2 or 3 of these guys that are going to go and relist it. Okay. And that's kind of a telltale sign that the condition of this gun is good, but the bid price is low, because they're looking to double up their money. So if this guy's willing to put 400 or 500, he's going to list it on the Gunbroker at $1,200, and he has a whole list of these antique guns that going to sit there till the end of time, and but does sell some of them. He'll bid on it. So I know somebody in the one rifle I got that was in very, very nice shape. I had somebody pulling that crap on me, waiting to the last minute, figuring I'd say, okay, yeah, there's 30 seconds left, nobody's going to bid, and he does bid, hoping you walk away and don't notice it, and he nails it for $10 more. Okay, and I ran into him again, and just like maybe that 76, the bidding started around, it gets into 500, 600. These guns, if they're really nice, it's about a $600, $700 item. Okay, some people put them up there for 1,000. I just put 2 bills more from the I just put it up there, and you see he went 1, 2, 3. Then he kind of realized, he learned this guy wants it. He goes. So now you got to say, how far did he go? Did he go flat out $10 more, $10 more, 20, 30, and then sometimes you will have somebody. This last one I got into, the guy, just when it got up to around 6, he from 4 to 6, he kind of lost his taste after I think $20. I got it for 630 or something. If he was a show bidder, I don't know. Then I go back and check his feedback and see that he has bought an antique gun or something along the same lines, and he's not a show bidder. Yeah, see, that's a lot of them will see they'll run an honest auction, then see how far they can push a person, and then that's where they started at. All right, yeah, so you're right. You ran into that. I've seen that too. I've seen people put a reserve, and an auction will go for some Siamese Mausers. Actually, they're in very nice shape. You don't find them pop up that often. And they started them at a penny, and they ran them up reserves. I don't know. They might have put $1,000 on a reserve or something, and they ran up to, because I was bidding on it, 300-400 or something, and they ran up to about 5 or 6, and then they were relisted. It was high sixes at $700. Okay, no reserve, and then eventually, I think somebody bought both of them, paid over 7 for them. It's kind of a sleazy way to try to figure out what it's worth. It's like, I got a gun. Is it worth 300 or is it worth 600? So I put a reserve of 1,500 on it and put it out there on the gun broker and just watch the people bid to how high it goes. Like I said, if they got a good feedback or it's a name I see buying mill surplus all the time, then I know the person's serious, and that's a serious level to start with, or start a little over. Yeah, that's what I found happens, because even though, and it's a pain if somebody's doing that, to wait till it actually closes, and they do it in the last 30 seconds, then extend the damn auction another 15 minutes, because then you got to outbid them by the $5 or $10. Then go through this every 15 minutes until you're wasting an hour. That's why you just come in, if you really want it, come in heavy, and the hell with them. But yeah, it's tough. Selling's the same way. The easiest thing to do, but see, the gun broker now, I still don't know the situation of shipping a firearm, be it an antique or an actual handgun or something that needs a license. I used to do it with, you tell people, make sure your dealer will accept from a non-licensed person, and it is not illegal. The guy does my transfers. Okay, he got them from people that just, they put their name, address, and a copy of their driver's license in there, and he just puts down in his book the person's name and their legal address is all he needs to put in that book. Okay. that that's where it came through. And then I do the background check there. I've bought several firearms that way using my one transfer dealer, and he said it's not illegal. Some people won't do it. And then see now, because nobody knows clearly if you're breaking the law or not. UPS will not take a firearm of any type or any ammunition unless you arrange for it to get picked up at your business and you're a registered business, a firearms shop with UPS. Okay. Now, if that's still the case, I sent the thing in for warranty repair and dropped it off the drugstore. That's the only UPS pickup close to me now since they closed the main one that I used to go to and got in this argument with. So I don't know. The post office, you're supposed to overnight deliver handguns and no long guns. But two of these things I bought from an auction came through the U.S. Post Office. And my transfer guy said, I didn't think the U.S. Post Office would accept long guns anymore or something. When this whole thing happened over a year ago. So I don't know. I don't know what the rules are. I don't know how the laws have changed. There's no clarity, no nothing. And now with Trump in office, God only knows, they're talking about disbanding the ATF altogether. Okay. So, and I guess he wrote executive orders rescinding a lot of this nonsense. All right. The one about having to be a dealer or go through a dealer, I guess that was an executive order, and 80% bills, and even the pistol brace, ridiculous 180-page ruling on there. I guess he signed executive orders, countermanding all that shit, threw it out, I believe. But then again, you want to find out the hard way? I have no idea. So it's tough. And, like 314 said, reputable auction houses. Rock Island is probably the biggest auction house there is. And I mean, I see them get top dollar for all their stuff. And they auction off some important, but I've heard if you go to the gun boards forum, I heard a lot of complaints about this place. Basically, one guy said, I put all these bids in, so many thousands of dollars in bids, and didn't win one. Okay, which was curious. One guy said he put in a bid, was outbid. Then they contacted him a few months later and said that they would honor his bid because somebody had a forfeit or something happened and the person who outbid him couldn't pay. So they honor his bid and give him the lot. And he kind of said, call me weeks later or something. He goes, no. And one individual had a whole bunch of hex receiver Mosin Nagants. He must have had a bunch of them that he cherry picked going through, when they were 100 and a quarter or something. Had a whole bunch of them that are supposedly uber collectible and worth more, and people were paying more money for these. Okay, I remember. And he was thinking that these things were worth $600 a piece. And he watched this auction and he watched how these things went. So he sent them like 6 guns or something. He didn't send them 1 or 2. He sent them a whole stack of them. And something about how they listed them. I don't know if they mixed them in the auctions, or whatever, or they listed all of them in one lot or something. Something happened where he didn't make out, and I believe they charge you a seller's premium. And he was complaining that he, was looking Tenet 6 a gun, and that ain't how it all turned out. And then plus what they charged him, he, he was highly upset. And once you sign that contract, okay, with these places, like the one I went, they started at a penny, okay, and no reserve. You ain't asking them for nothing in return. Whatever it is, and you get charged 20%. Started at a penny, $100, you end up with 80. All right. So that's the way it goes. See, now a buyer doesn't pay a premium. Okay, so that's one plus. That's where, in a way, you'll get more money, but it's reversed. You're the one getting clip 20. So if you got nothing into the stuff, you're making out. Okay. And you never know. It's because I watched this auction. Type 14 Nambos. Somebody must have had a collection. They had 4 or 5 of them. And I'm like, why don't you space them out over the auction? That's why I never give them multiples of a gun. Always mix up whatever you put in a lot. Don't give them like 4 Type 14 Nambos. And they auction them off the same auction. So if you got somebody wanting one, well, he's got 4 choices now. Okay, it kind of lowered your thing to where if it was spread out over each 2-week cycle of auctions, you probably would get more money for the guns. So yeah, selling them yourself can be difficult. $750 for hex receiver Mosins. Yeah, but this is a few years ago. I mean, that's what this guy's thinking. Okay, got hex receiver Mosins. They're worth $600 a piece. Okay, that's what he was thinking. So he gave them half a dozen of them, and they did not sell for that. Okay, that's a bit stiff for hex receiver Mosin. I got to see what I was trying to sell one, and I think I was asking $5 with bayonet sling, cartridges, oil bottle, the whole 9 yards, and a little tool. Can't say I had anybody beating the door down to get them neither, okay, at that price. That they received a bunch more crates from Ethiopia. Did that materialize? I don't watch Royal Tiger, but we'll go look. Royal Tiger. Crates of what? I gotta tell them how old I am. I'm very old. I gotta get some kind of senior's pass. You got 30 days. All right. Gonna look at antiques. Let's look at antiques. What do they got? C grade Graz. C grade. Yeah, C grade's really scary. B grade Graz. C grades. 1821 9 Mannlicher's free clip. 349. Grade C. C grade. 199. Vetterli's. Okay, nothing. Let's look under curio and relics. British guns, jungle carbines. Cut down this, cut down that. Carcanos, a lot of British guns, some more Carcanos. Okay, 400 for the 735. That's why that kid paid 300 for it. They're the only ones selling 735s. So I understand why he bought it now. B grade full length, 2.5. I guess 3.5 for an A grade Carcano. No, but I don't see. I don't see it bringing it because the auctions I've watched, Mosin and Gantz, that was another thing I was keeping an eye on. They go from 3 to 4, depending. But the one auction was honest. Every single gun they were selling, the bore was gray or something, which means a lot of these bores were fairly nice and clean when they came in. I rarely found a screwed up bore on any of these Mosins when I go through crate after crate of them. People shoot the damn corrosive primed ammo in them, which that was all we got back then. Them tins, that's corrosive. And if you don't clean it with some sort of either black powder, cleaner, or some sort of water-based clean to wash the salt, you ain't got to boil it out. Anything they use to clean muzzle loaders will do it. Or one guy even spray Windex down in there. Okay? It won't happen. But it appears that everybody shot these guns with that ammo, did not clean it right, and now they got hosed up bores. I seen a 91 in a pawn shop. Okay, they had converted 40 something converted barrel on there. Not a bad gun, but somebody shot corrosive ammo and never cleaned it, and I mean it was horrible. He went and got a bore brush, the guy that owned it, and pull it out, and this cloud of red dust flew out. And I said, sorry, I ain't buying it at any price. It's crazy. Well, some of the Finnish guns, like the Civil Guard and that, go for about 7. Not a standard Mosin. Not worth the money. Okay, hand select. Is that a 10 millimeter or 6.5? Yeah, like I said, sometimes you get something decent, but that's like 10% or less of the time. I mean, it's crazy. It's like they don't even know what hell they got. Okay. Uh, and it's crazy as hell. Yeah, 10.4. Okay. Let me see what they. You got to see. Let me see what model you got. A B grade. Okay, so you got one here. I guess it's A grade. So they're listed at $399, and you do a hand select. Let me take that out. Take out the hand select. Oh no, I didn't have hand select checked the first time. So that's five bills. Okay. Where I got mine is I bought a lot from Rock Island Auction House, and they had a whole bunch of the Vetterlies. They're not that popular of a gun, and I forget what I paid for them. That's quite a few years ago. It wasn't $600 a piece, I don't think. And I got some single shot troop specials, and there was a whole collection. Some of them were a little goofed up, but I had spare parts and got them all. I've shot them all, and I got some decent long rifles out of that batch. I forget if you look at my collection of them where I went through them a few years ago. I got some nice shooters out of that batch there. All of them were in decent shape. And I paid, maybe I paid close to what the hell RT's asking, but the Royal Tiger stuff. That's true because I told you I bought one of them cut off Baradins, and a friend of mine bought one. He actually got a Baradin carbine. The bore was black, dark black. Maybe it could have been salvaged or something, but still, it was you know, I'd say you can very good minus condition, complete uh, carbine. Okay, the bore was, at least my bore was usable. You can see rifling, you can actually shoot it. But it was a Russian Baradine carbine, which is super duper rare, and even in that condition, $500 is a good deal. Okay, so it's a tough, and he was buying like me, one of the ones sawed off. That's what he ordered, and that's what they sent him. So it goes to show you they don't know what the hell they're doing there. But yeah, so buying, selling your collection, it's tough. Also, another thing, you want to sell your items to another collector, okay? Or what I used to call the end user. Like a lot of people complained when I did the videos on auctions that people buy to flip. You got scavengers. Okay, like I said, at them auctions, you got these flea market, thrift store dealers that when these sporterized guns come up, or one guy, any gun, complete, incomplete, whatever the hell, if it's under $100, he will bid on it. Okay, he will bid on it. All right. As long as it don't go, he will bid it up to 100, and if it's something he really thinks is worth it, he'll go 100 and a quarter. And that's where all your little trashy junk guns go. Okay. And then I've seen them where it was like a sporterized 7 millimeter Spanish Mauser. Could have been a 16 or something. And somebody just cut the stock off, took the barrel bands off, and and they come up to me, what caliber? I said, it's 7 millimeter. He goes, how can you tell? Well, first of all, the bore size, and generally when they converted them to 308, there will be 7.62 stamped in friggin' big letters on the receiver. Okay. People weren't that incompetent that they would convert the gun without marking it to make it obviously different. It's different. And then they didn't like that answer, went back, and he said he got a magnifying glass and look where somebody stamped 7 millimeter. So yeah, I was right. Yeah, because like when I bought that little carbine with the thing there, they charged me well over $1,000 for that gun out of the 10 they had. Now, I bought the gun paid over $1,000 for the gun. Came, it was in fair plus shape, shootable, cleaned it, took it out, shot it. Once I bought that piece, they were in there. They immediately dropped the price of that from that over $1,000 to $500. I was kind of pissed. It's like, why did you get me to pay so much for this, but now you're selling me this product at lower price? So I went and bought two at $5. You see, and I found out why. One of them had a 6.5 bolt shoved in it, and the barrel was loose. Okay, junk. I paid $500 for it. I sold it at an auction. I think I got $350 out of it. Okay, but it was gone. The other one, I forget what the hell I had. I had to do something to it. It's kind of okay, but it's in worse shape than the other one, condition wise. And I think I had to replace some parts on it. And I think I did go out and shoot it. That I did. I think I still have it somewhere. I can't remember. But yeah, they have something. They did look. They found one that's good. They'll sell because somebody else bought something from them, and the guy bought the example, and then next thing you know, within a week, the price dropped drastically, and he got upset and said, what the hell are you doing to me? This and that. I said, this is what they do. They have one out of the 5 pieces that maybe is complete and works, and they charge you an exorbitant price. Then they sell the trash because somebody else bought them, and the same thing. They got that little carbine, which is rare, but they had a 6.5 bolt stuck in it. The guy had enough examples of 10 millimeters where he just took a 10 millimeter, put it in there, and I don't know if he fired it or not. I think it was in good enough condition to fire. So yeah, so I've had experience. I'm not listening from what other people have done. Okay, I'm telling you the dealings that I had with them. Okay, I just give up. They had some rare stuff in there that I was tempted. Them old French Kropatschek guns in the 11 millimeter Glock caliber. Those things are super rare. And he had a couple of them, but the price is ridiculous. The condition was totally screwed up, and I just couldn't go with it. And you're never going to find parts for something they only made a few thousand of. That's another thing I found out. If it's rare and if it's not complete or there's something busted on it, unless you can figure out, and a lot of times, even if the part is missing, how the hell do you make the part if you don't know what it looks like or you don't have a part to measure to make? Okay, that's beyond impossible. Okay. Yeah, he went down there. I remember he came and interviewed me. He's a nice guy, and he likes going to all these places, uh, CMP and everything else. And he does. He has a good sized channel. So yeah, they'd want him down there, free advertisement. Oh well, I watched that video. Put a positive spin on it all. Oh well. Yeah, so that's the ins and outs of this hobby. Um, you know, what you gonna do? But yeah, I don't know. They got a lot of kits come in. And let's look under hand select firearms. 1902 Mark I rifle. Ooh, $1,000. Obendorf Factory Sporter. Some sporterized guns. Grand for 1930 FN Mauser. B grade Carcano, B grade. Berettas. 375, 349. I don't know. They got some Beretta 30 with threaded barrel. Okay. Yeah. I'll buy mine from Atlantic Firearms. They got one where they put new barrels on them, which they probably did here. The Boers brand, yep. $3.99. I was tempted to get one of them. I may get one from Atlantic Firearms. I never had an old Beretta without bolt. C grade without bolt. God, it's who knows? I don't know. When are you going to tour Fort Knox? You know, when are you going to put the tariff on these idiots? Never know with Trump. But see, another thing, okay, a lot of people say he's indecisive, and that's what it is these people call him out. He comes down on them, and he's going to do this. So then, when they start thinking, everybody's got a safe face. They got to go on the news and say he's a maniac, the hell with him. But I know there's all this backdoor negotiations where he's giving them another month to either come up with an agreement or he's going to do it. So you got to look at it that way. That's why it looks. And he does have a lot of these weasels in a panic. Okay. And of course, nobody's going to give in and say, well, oh, yes, no, they're not. They have to do this. But, I don't know. I'm not into the inner workings of all the corruption and crap that goes on globally. Okay. And all of these people it's all for making some sort of money or doing something behind the scenes that if it was exposed, it don't look good. It shows you what kind of a crappy world we live in. Okay. Somebody like me, it's like, I've known these things go on. Well, what am I going to do? How am I going to stop corruption in the oil industry or minerals or whatever? No, because in the old days, they had these places where you had new guns. They take apart all the screwed up ones or ones that were missing parts to begin with. And like the old car part, where they used to take your old car and they disassemble it and have rear ends, transmissions laying out in the yard somewhere. They had places for guns. That Springfield Sporters, I think, was that place. Century Arms, I think, ended up buying them out in their warehouse. But yeah, those days are gone. You have to go and buy a parts rifle or like these guys are going at. That's another thing. I will not do. I got an FR7. I bought it in an auction. Paid more than what I could go and get it at Hunter's Lodge. But there was a guy that got one from Hunter's Lodge. Didn't look too bad. Okay. And I know it's 3 something, so 4. I paid another $100 and some and I got it in a week and a half. And it's in fairly damn nice shape. Okay. no cracked, he's got a cracked wrist with these pins and stuff in the stock and everything, so, and he had to wait 3.5 months to get the gun or something. He said it was the worst place he ever did business with. You never do business with him again. And some of that stuff, that readiness review, I hope he's doing all right. His house got damaged during the last storm. But he gets fragments of a rifle. And I mean, I guess he got one of those Enfields fixed up and shooting it. But by the time you buy the parts and the work you put into it and everything else to get it together, you're better off just spending $100 more and having a halfway decent example you find somewhere, At least for me, I think Navy vet realizes, I ain't got much time to be hunting down parts and doing stuff. It worked out about Trump. Oh, what he's doing is exposing corruption and straightening. He's doing somebody said common sense things. Block cabin loons. He doesn't like his foreign policy, but he said what he's doing internally is good. But whatever. We need change. Anything's good. Go to Central Texas. So the fields, they got more activity down in the oil fields. So that's good to hear. See, that's another thing. All these commodities, they control. Okay, food and that, me and my wife shop at Costco, and you go to the dam where they got the fish. Okay, they're selling you supposedly fresh fish or whatever. They must freeze it. It's product of Vietnam, product of God knows where. I mean, pretty far away from North Carolina to be getting some fish or whatever the hell they're selling. So, I don't know. But I'm glad that's going on. Yeah, he stopped all the fracking, and he put a lot of people out of work. Okay. So I don't know. Did buy a Bren gun kit. I had a couple LMGs, okay, and I had the parts kits with the live barrels years ago, but they sat around, and it was years before a company would build you a semi-auto receiver, charge you about $1,000 for building the receiver and assembling the parts kits. But I needed money and sold them long before then. It was another project. I kind of kicked myself in the ass because you see them come up in an auction. Okay. I think one gun shop had a semi-auto Maxim in there. They wanted $1,000 for, and a little sled mount and everything. I think it was a live fire gun. Okay. All that stuff goes for $5,000-$7,000 now. Oh well, it's getting close to my 1.5 hour limit. I'm tired. Drinking my coffee, trying to keep my throat, from drying up. Damn allergies. I live in allergy country, and my eyes, my throat, my nose, and that in the spring here, because pollen and God knows what vile plants are out in my yard flinging stuff into the air. Yeah, I think at one time they all made some sort of semi-auto conversion for all these guns. That it took some time, and you get the letter. I know you could do the 1919s. They just put something on the plate a thick thing, and you had to machine the bolt so a full auto bolt wouldn't fit in there. But yeah, you can make semi-automatic versions. Yeah, you can't buy fixtures. There was a guy that made a fixture in a way where you can re-weld one of them racks, Polish little submachine guns up. They put him out of business. Because I mean, he had it down packed where he showed you how to hold that thing together and re-weld it all up. Yeah, they shut him down. Selling that was no, 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 no. Yeah. Yes, I'm gonna wind this down, guys. Gonna get going. I will see you all again next week. See if we can come up with another wonderful topic to keep us busy. Things are a bit calmer now, less people, but the conversations go along nice and smooth with no bizarre things going on. And, you know, hopefully uh, we'll have something again. All right, gentlemen, have a good one. See you next week.